Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a moment that stunned a courtroom, shook the British media, and quietly changed the narrative around Prince Harry forever. This is not just about a legal case. It's about power, pressure, silence, and one name that altered the atmosphere inside the royal courts of justice, Meghan. Why did a single word shift the tone of sworn testimony? Why did seasoned journalists stop typing? And why did a man raised to master composure struggle to continue? To understand why Prince Harry broke down in court when Meghan's name came up, we have to look beyond headlines and step inside a story that has been building for years, a story about intrusion, consequence, and a reckoning that could no longer be delayed. The morning air outside London's Royal Courts of Justice was cold and restless. Camera crews lined the pavement, reporters murmured into phones, and producers counted down live segments. It looked like the build-up to a major political verdict or a historic criminal trial. But this was something different. This was a confrontation between a prince and the press, not symbolic, not rhetorical, but legal and personal. When Prince Harry arrived, there was no grand gesture. No wave. No acknowledgement of the cameras. He walked with purpose, shoulders squared, expression controlled. To many observers, he looked less like royalty and more like someone returning to a place he had hoped never to revisit. Inside the courtroom, the setting was formal, restrained, almost austere. Wood-paneled walls, quiet murmurs, the subtle choreography of lawyers and clerks. This was not a space built for emotion. And yet, emotion would soon define it. Prince Harry's lawsuit targets one of Britain's most powerful media groups, accusing it of years of unlawful information gathering, including phone hacking, deception, and misuse of private data. These allegations are serious, technical, and deeply consequential. But what transformed this hearing from another media case into something far more gripping was not a legal argument. It was context. As Harry took the stand, his delivery was careful and deliberate. He spoke about patterns of intrusion stretching back years, about stories that appeared with uncanny accuracy, private moments made public, relationships turned into speculation. To anyone familiar with the British tabloid ecosystem, these claims were not unfamiliar. What was different was who was saying them, and under oath. For much of his testimony, Harry remained composed. His answers were precise. Measured. Almost clinical. But then the focus shifted from methods to impact, from what the media allegedly did, to what that coverage caused. And that was when Meghan's name entered the room. The shift was immediate. Harry paused, briefly at first, then longer. His voice, still steady, carried a different weight. He spoke about escalation, how the intensity of coverage increased dramatically once Meghan became part of his life. Stories multiplied. The tone hardened. Scrutiny deepened. He described how narratives stopped being about public duty and became personal judgments. How headlines followed them everywhere. How corrections, when they came at all, never traveled as far as the original damage. At one point, Harry spoke about fear, not panic, not hysteria, but a constant, underlying anxiety. Fear of what would be published next. Fear of how stories would be framed. Fear of consequences no one could predict. This fear, he explained, was not abstract. He had lived it before. Though he did not dwell on history, the shadow of his mother, Princess Diana, was impossible to ignore. The comparison lingered unspoken but unmistakable, a reminder of what sustained pressure, intrusion, and pursuit can lead to. Harry told the court that watching Meghan endure relentless media attention triggered memories he thought he had buried. He spoke of responsibility, of bringing her into a world where scrutiny was not a byproduct, but a weapon. And then came another layer, silence. For decades, the royal family has followed a doctrine of restraint, often summarized as never complain, never explain. Harry told the court that this policy, while designed to preserve dignity, left Meghan exposed. Unable to respond. Unable to defend herself. Unable to correct false narratives as they spread unchecked. When asked about the toll this took, Harry paused again. This time, the pause lingered. Observers noted his eyes lower, his shoulders tighten. The courtroom waited. He spoke about emotional strain. About exhaustion. about the cumulative effect of constant negativity. He did not dramatize or exaggerate. He did not offer medical detail. He simply stated that the impact was real, sustained, and deeply harmful. For many in the room, this was the moment the case shifted. It was no longer just about whether journalists cross legal lines. It was about what happens when there are no boundaries, no escape, no refuge, no off switch. As testimony continued, Harry addressed trust or the lack of it. He explained how repeated leaks eroded his ability to know who he could rely on. How private conversations seemed to reappear in public narratives. How suspicion crept into personal and professional relationships. At one point, he suggested that some information could only have come from people within close circles. Though he did not name individuals during oral testimony, the implication sent ripples through royal commentary almost instantly. This was not just a challenge to the press. It was an indictment of a system. As the hearing progressed, the emotional intensity gave way to analysis. Lawyers shifted focus to evidence, timelines, records, patterns. The language grew denser, more technical. But the underlying narrative remained clear: Harry was drawing a line between public interest and private life. He addressed a familiar criticism head-on, the idea that public figures surrender privacy in exchange for privilege. Harry rejected that framing, arguing that public service does not justify total personal exposure. That scrutiny does not equal consent. That there must be limits. When Meghan's name surfaced again, it was not with the same emotional charge, but the weight remained. Each mention reinforced the central claim that her experience exemplified the human cost of unchecked media power. Cross-examination tested Harry's certainty. Lawyers questioned memory, sources, assumptions. Harry acknowledged gaps. He conceded he could not know every mechanism behind every story. But he stood firm on impact. The harm, he said, was undeniable regardless of whether every method could be proven in court. This distinction between legal proof and lived experience sat at the heart of the case. Outside the courtroom, reactions poured in. Supporters framed Harry's testimony as courageous, a powerful figure using his position to challenge systemic abuse. Critics accused him of hypocrisy, arguing that attention is inseparable from status. Yet even among skeptics, there was acknowledgement that this moment felt different. This was not a television interview. Not a memoir. Not a controlled narrative. This was sworn testimony. As the day wore on, the broader implications became impossible to ignore. Harry is not alone in this case. Other high-profile figures have brought similar claims against the same media group, alleging patterns of intrusion that suggest something systemic rather than isolated. If the court were to rule in Harry's favor, the consequences could extend far beyond one family. It could force a reckoning within British journalism, a reassessment of where investigation ends and invasion begins. As proceedings drew toward a close, Harry was asked about motivation. Why pursue this case now? Why reopen wounds? His answer was measured. He spoke about accountability, not punishment. About drawing boundaries. About preventing others from experiencing the same pressures. And once again, Meghan's presence shaped the response, not as a symbol, but as a reminder of what was at stake. When court adjourned, Harry left without comment. No statement. No acknowledgement of cameras. Just silence. That silence lingered. Because what unfolded inside that courtroom was not a performance. It was a record, one that will be analyzed not just by judges, but by history. The legal process will continue. Evidence will be weighed. Arguments refined. Decisions delayed. But the story has already shifted. This case is no longer just about alleged unlawful behavior by the press. It is about power, privacy, and the human cost of relentless attention. For Prince Harry, the courtroom became the place where years of restraint finally met resistance. For Meghan, though absent, her experience shaped the narrative in ways no legal document could fully capture. And for the public, the case leaves a question that refuses to fade. Where does the right to know end, and the right to live begin? The answer now rests with the court. If this story made you think, if it helped you see this case from a deeper perspective, don't forget to like the video, share it with others who follow royal news, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more in-depth, cinematic news stories like this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because this story, and many others like it, are far from over.